that's who they target. So, but if somebody else, they're gonna look for other characters, and whoever they think is more
Yeah.
relatable. So it's not,
I'm very
it's not
sorry.
cold calling.
I was
Targeting,
taking a
even if
nap
it's a
in my
very,
car.
uh,
Yeah, with my
you know,
alarm
kind
didn't
of
go off.
forced thing where it's only the people
Yeah,
who are.
I want to ask
We're
forgiveness,
But then you
which is
narrow
good,
it down.
because that's what I'm talking about, is
So
forgiveness.
that's who you're going in already, that you're just gonna be warmed up.
So,
That's
so
what
who
we.
would you have against in
preaching and then playing piano and then preaching and playing piano going back and forth. So it just, what an image for me to have. So he's dead. I hope, hopefully I've got some time left. So, so here's my welcome. I don't know how much I need this. Here's my welcome. Hi. We don't know you, but I don't know you. Hi. You can tell us your name? Patty. Hi, Patty. Welcome. This is literally a welcoming congregation, and we're glad you're here, right? And personally, I know all the rest of you, and personally, I'm glad you're here. And the other part of it is, how cool are you to get up on 4th of July weekend, get up and bring yourself here and do this, right? And that's also my point of worship. We're going to do this. Okay? All right, I had an older service. Good. Yeah, thanks, Dave. So that's, yeah, that's what I want to talk about. And that's what I want to say. I just love that, Dave or somebody, well, usually you, but Dave or somebody lights the chalice, right, every week for whoever is talking, right? Isn't that emblematic of what goes on here? Right? That, somebody is always helping, somebody is always helping do it. So thank you. And so look what we got here. We got flame, which is one of one of the big discoveries of humankind, right? And we use it to keep ourselves warm and to cook our food and to keep away some beasts that will not do nice things for us, and to make light. And by light we can read, and by light we can learn. So thank you for the fire. All right, and now let's sing. Let's sing I've Got Peace Like a River, okay? You know this? It goes, I'm going to tell you what the words are. It says, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my heart. And then it repeats that, okay? And there's more verses, but I'll tell you what the verses are. If you want to stand up, right? Because actually, and I tell this to my students, standing is actually the best position to sing. It really is. There's a whole physiological thing. I'm not going to get into all the deep reasons, but it is. It's the best position to sing in. Thank you. Peace interested in the tempo of everything, right? And I really believe that the tempo of anything that gets read, especially anything that gets read communally, should be not so fast that you can't think about every word, whatever word it means. Okay? So let's do this, and it's probably going to be a little slower, but that's okay. Ready? We build. We build our congregation on a foundation of love and covenant with one another as we go on this spiritual journey. To communicate with compassion, kindness, and empathy. To assume good intentions and to forgive one another. To listen fully and respectfully. To work to resolution when problems arise. To respect our individual dignity, differences, and gifts. To contribute to and support our congregation as we are able. To practice radical hospitality to all.
Let me go back here and look at the report. No, but I have it in my hand. All right. Right, I left out the elementary school. And probably here's why. Because you know how usually the reading or whatever gets said is something that's inspiring and warming and nice and everything. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to warn you.
All right, so I'd like you to think of plants outside. Okay? We all know a little something about biology. And we know that when you exhale, and when we exhale carbon dioxide, and the plants breathe that in. The plants breathe in the very same gas that you've been exhaling, and it nourishes them, and it becomes part of them. So guess what? We are part of these plants. Okay? And we know that when these plants exhale, they exhale oxygen. And other people inhale this oxygen. Right? So we know that the plants are part of these people. And the fact is, if we've been exhaling, the plants have been breathing it in, and then the plants have been exhaling and other people have been breathing it in, we are part of these other people. And while that's going on, the same thing is happening the other way. These other people, in a very real, physical way, are a part of us. How are we going to hate somebody who is a part of us? How are we going to hate anybody that we are a part of? And now here's where I'm going to annoy you. So I grew up in Queens. Okay? Current occupant, 1,600 also lived. And he and I were so how am I going to hate him? Much as I'd like to tell you to, how am I going to do that? Right? How am I going to hate somebody who's a part? So, you want to see a little fire here? And I think now somebody's going to do announcements and ask for money, because I want to do announcements and offering and all that at the same time, okay? So whoever's going to do announcements, come on, we'll do it, and then we'll hear about money too.
towards in the afternoon, I think at 2 o'clock possibly, don't quote me, we're gonna be at 2 or 3, we're gonna be having a poetry evening, with, Long Islanders who are involved in creating arts for peace in Palestine. So if you're interested in that, please show up. It's going to be a really nice afternoon with music and poetry for peace.
Anything else?
The book club is reading The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and join us on Zoom on July 31st at 8 p.m. It's a really good book.
Well, okay, I like that a whole lot more than one person just reading everything on the list, right? How organic, how communal, right? How much community. Okay, and is somebody going to talk about where the share the plate goes and all that? Okay. Well, I'll read it. Yes. Yes, the Navajo school. That's where we get our monkeys from, right? And the Navajo school, you know, it's there on their land, and they're still allowed to keep you know, it's those same kids who grow up and help us. For functions. They do the bookkeeping, they do the planning for them, you know, so hooray for them. Okay. I'll play a little bit while David. So, some of you might know that I am a closet camp. And, you know, I was thinking, as I was thinking wondering if I could craft an equation. You know, it's like joy plus other people equals joy times the number of people that are there. Sorrow plus other people equals sorrow divided by people. It's really cool. You know? Makes no sense in terms of including that. But anyway, I'm inviting anybody who wants to share something. Please share it now. Yeah, me.
This week we celebrate with Fox. The Father's weekly birthday. And pray the limitations of the family will over. I think they should probably.
Yeah, anyway, yeah, I celebrated my 95th birthday. 98 people were there, but,
Invite us.
yeah,
We did a party.
No, but he then came here, so that's it.
yeah, we had a great time.
So, okay, all those who think you can stop with
But now we know how you just speak with us. That's really a predicate. Tell them anytime, and I'm waiting to hear it. I'm waiting to hear you
Oh.
look like it. Whoa, no. So I Google, what do you say when people actually hold you? You could say, you could say, no, you could say, I'm taking it. But I wonder, what do you attribute to your assessment?
Good deed. Good deed. I have found working the right. I love to be with. She's not here. She's not feeling too well today. And I'm thinking of myself. And I think that finding her gave me an uplift in my life. I'm glad I'm going to hopefully my 96th birthday. And when I reach 300, then I'll let you all know.
I read the Florida had an obituary about a woman who died at the age of 100, and when she had been asked what she did as a road charity, she said, John,
Oh boy, I know a long time. So, what you made me think of is there was a Mills Brothers song, I don't know if people have heard it. It's called Be My Life's Companion and We'll Never Grow Old. Yeah, so maybe I'll bring it in here next week, because I don't remember the whole thing.
Well,
But it's like basically, if you're alone, you're going to be old and fluffy and but you can find somebody and
That's what I found.
Good question. What's
Vicky wasn't feeling not that good. So she said, where do you go? And don't stay home. But she's been doing fine. She goes through periods of time when she's not feeling so well. But most of the time she feels good. She sings. On Monday, she...
by the way, that's the answer. What does she attribute her longevity to? She sings all the time. I'm going to tell you, that'll help a long time. I also wanted to say there is an answer to the comment, you don't look, right? So, and here's what you can say. You can say, this is what 89 looks like.
How did you meet her?
Oh, she lived a couple of doors away from the building that we live in. And I had to come out and she came at the same time, and we bumped into each other. I said, hi. And she said, hi. She said, where are you going? I said, I'm going outside. Where are you going? She said, I'm going somewhere. And I said, gee, would you like to hear some piano music? And I said, I'll play for you. And she said, yeah, I like that. I came into my apartment and I played some music for her. And she liked it very much. And that started out going.
Wow.
Has she recovered from?
She has this whiz in her chest. And it comes sometimes and makes her feel weak. And that's the reason why she's home. And I thought, well, I talked to her for her not feeling well, but I said, I'm going to go. And so I got up and we got from the car and I came.
Please,
You were thinking of her.
please, let me just,
I will.
Vicky is amazing.
And she's 92, she was 93.
92, going to be 93. She goes to the beach down in Rico Beach,
And she sings.
and she sings every morning at 11 o'clock for anybody who wants to do that. And she does popular music.
Yeah, she has about 20 songs.
Oh,
She will sing.
and we had a concert here, and she was our performer. And it was really quite something. We raised $300.
don't sell her short.
Numbers, don't talk about numbers.
That's right, because I had a stroke, so I don't even know how old I am.
if I should give you my title first. I'll give you the title at the end. I'm not going to give you the title. But here's what I want to do. Can you hear me okay? If you can't hear me, okay. I want to talk about shoulds. Okay? So, when we're young, they tell us we should do this and we should feel that, right? And I don't really mind them telling kids that they should act a certain way, but then they also tell kids they should feel a certain way, and I don't like that. And the fact is that should is probably my least favorite word in the world, right? I mean, I really dislike it when the IT guy says, all right, do this and then do that, and then it should work. Right? When I used to run a production company, and TD would come to me and say, well, buy this and do that because we should. I said, should is only telling me your opinion. Give me some facts, but don't tell me your opinion. Okay, so here's the thing. One of the things we tell kids is that they should be grateful. All right? I particularly have a problem with that because my opinion is that it's not in the nature of kids to be grateful, that they're not capable of it. I really don't think they can. I mean, I think that kids, trying to be grateful is like me trying to understand quantum mechanics. And I've been reading a lot of books about it and watching videos and stuff. And then each new book, they say, yeah, I say, yeah, okay, you've said that before. But then I said, what? The thing is not here and it's not there. It's in both places at the same time. And if some human looks at it, then it's in one place. When did we become so important, right? So, I keep trying. I can't get it. Maybe someday I will. And I think kids just can't be grateful. I think also part of it is because they don't know where stuff comes from. They don't know what it takes for stuff to happen, right? That old thing that, kids ask, if a kid asks, how come there's a Mother's Day, and there's a Father's Day, and there's no Children's Day? And invariably, the grown-up that they ask will say, every day is Children's Day, right? And we know that's true. But they don't get it. They have no concept of what we're saying when we say that, and we think we're being so clever, right? All right, so forget about grateful because it should. And then, by the way, then we come to places like this and stuff, and they tell us we should be grateful, right? So forget about the shoulds. Thanks. It happens. I didn't turn mine off. That might happen with mine too, but I appreciate you turning it off. I mean, I've been in congregations where people take the call. So thank you for doing the right thing. No sorry needed. Right? All right. So here's the thing. I'm not saying let's be grateful because we should. I'm saying the cool thing about gratitude is that it feels good. I would encourage people to experience gratitude just because it feels great. Those moments when I've actually been able to feel grateful, I felt like I just won the lottery. And there's so much. My go-to when I'm feeling cranky, I say feeling cranky. When I don't get what I want, all right? I didn't get what I want. And I said, like, hot showers. Just think about this. You've got water. You've got access to water. You've got access to clean water. And there's about a quarter of the world that still in 2025 does not have ready access to clean water. That they got to jump through all kinds of hoops to get clean water. Okay? I get water that's clean and it comes right into my house. And then it's heated. Okay? We're all old enough that we have grandparents who, might have told us about not having hot water in the house and telling us
what they had to do to get on board. And now here's the thing. Not only is it heated, not only is it there in my house, but there's enough pressure to bring it up over my head and enough of it to cascade down onto me, right? Think about this. This is an unimaginable luxury. Imagine that you lived 150 years ago, right? You know, if you were one of the luckiest people in the world, you might be able to go to a waterfall and stand under a waterfall and get clean out and feel that. But it's cold, right? Now you get that and it's hot, and we get to do that every single day. Last week when Kofi was asking us who we wanted to call on, who's done before, who we wanted to honor. And I said the 4th Street man. All right? So I don't know if I've told you this story before. I've told the story a lot of times, but I don't know if I've told it before. Because I'm talking about gratitude right now. So I just want to express my gratitude for the 4th Street man. Okay? So you got to picture this. This is around 1971 or 72. So I'm 18 or 19. And I'm on West 4th Street, okay, in the West Village, just a little bit east of Sheridan Square, west of 6th Avenue. I don't know if you're familiar with the geography of the West Village, but there I was, okay? Now, at that point in history, it was not unusual to find somebody playing guitar and singing on the street, right? Usually, they were white. And usually, they were young. And although I am certain I am now considerably older than he was at the time, you know, I thought he was old, and he was not white, he was black. And here's the thing. During the 50s and 60s, there was a Dixieland revival. Okay, I know, that wasn't Dixieland, by the way, that was ragtime. Not Dixieland. Very good. Excuse me. There was a Dixieland revival. And my father was a fan, and I was a fan. Matter of fact, it was so popular, there was a weekly network TV show that was all Dixieland. It was called Mickey Finn's. I don't know if anybody ever remembers this, but anyway. And one of the songs in the Dixieland canon was a song called 5'2" Eyes of Blue. Okay? And I had always heard it, maybe hundreds of times by that point. Have anybody seen a man? Okay, good. But here's this guy on 4th Street. Never got his name. To my shame, I didn't even think. And he was going like this. He's going 5'2", eyes blue. Oh, 5 feet for you. Has anybody seen my gal? What a music lesson. What a philosophy lesson. Right? I'm tremendously grateful to this guy for teaching me, hey kid, you don't have to sing a song the way you heard it before. Okay? So it occurs to me as I'm looking out and I see people I know here, not only do I have a lot of reasons to be grateful to the 4th Street family, but if you've ever enjoyed the way that, I take stuff and play it differently, you have a reason to be grateful to this guy you never met. Right? Look around and see the people in here who have been kind to you. And you're probably grateful to them for having been kind to you. Right? Okay. But, we've all been around kids. Kids have to be taught to be kind, right? Because, the animal wants what it wants, right? Okay. Think about how it would also be appropriate to be grateful to whoever taught that person to become. All the teachers they had. Right? They might be grateful to their teachers, right? But we could be grateful to their teachers too. Right? And of course then to all of their teachers. There's a long line of people, you know, before we get to somebody being like as helpful as Dave, there's a long line of people, each one teaching the one younger than them. Listen, you know, it's better to be helpful, it's better to be kind. Yeah? Until finally, you know, we get to Dave and he says, you want me to like a challenge for me? Long line. So, again, I don't know how you're feeling while I'm talking about this, but I'm feeling like the luckiest guy in the world. Because here I am. But I'm going to tell you two more things. One, again, here I am being a man. Okay, think about the absolutely staggering odds against you ever having been born. I mean, first, everything that went into this planet being formed, right? Everything with the dust clouds and the gravity and the hydrogen and all of this, and then the cooling, and then the rains, and then the formation of land masses, and you know, the whole history of the Earth, right? And you know, I'm leaving out part of the history of the universe, right? The fact that there is something rather than nothing. All of this happening, and then life appearing on this planet. And then some animal living long enough to replicate or reproduce, and another being living long enough to reproduce and reproduce, and then finally all of them coming out, so here comes a human. And then all your ancestors not being eaten by lions, not dying of some disease, you know, not dying in an accident or war, at least not until after they lived long enough to produce the next in your line of ancestors. So finally, here we go. How lucky are you? How lucky am I? All right. Else, well, yeah, I want to talk about, I just want to talk about Thanksgiving. You know, I do remember, recently enough for me to remember, which might be, you know, 45 years ago or something, remember being at a Thanksgiving celebration and hearing, hey, let's all go around and say we're grateful for and really being resentful. We're like, yeah. You know, I don't know, keep rolling your money. You know? And then I remember much more recently, again, when I was at the aforementioned production company, and the owner, who was really unpleasant guy, this real guy, you know the word guy? It's a deep, you know, but he was also really very unhappy guy. You know, and it's the day before Thanksgiving, and we're all, you know, and it's like, what I got to be grateful for, right? And we said, oh, look, you're really healthy, and you got this business that's thriving, and I work for all of this, what do I got to do? Okay, Kim, I feel a little sorry for him when I talk about how good it feels to be grateful, right? So now, because this is congregational, as I said, I want to hear from people. I want to hear, you know, your thoughts about this. You can say stuff that you're grateful for, or you can talk about the feeling of being grateful, or you know, or you can call me out and say, you know, Mike, you think you're talking about really this, you got this wrong or something. So I'm opening this up to everybody.
I agree with you. If we're mindful
Congratulations. Thank you for all that. So I got a question. Do you remember, what was your reaction when your parents shouted at you? You've got so much to be grateful for. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. In there. Well, I want to thank you as a citizen for having spent your time doing that, because there's a high probability that I have had to deal with some other person who has been less unpleasant to deal with because of some of the work we did. Right? I mean, we both live, in the same, I don't live far from here, so thank you for doing it. You probably, yeah, and all your teachers, right? You have probably made my life a little easier. Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you.
I got to the point where something stopped hurting, and it was hurting. A lot of it, and thankfulness, has to do with avoiding something worse happening, or something bad didn't happen. And you went, oh, I nearly had an accident, I got a grateful like that, the truck didn't hit me, something like that. So a lot of it is negative. Glad that the worst didn't happen, and I looked up, I thought, oh, I thought something happened, and I was just glad I was, hopefully this will be that Robert Allen was that but the people are nice, the insurance is good, but I had unemployment. It's kind of a leather job, and on clients, oh my God. I run out the house with a shower, worse didn't happen or something, and you pray, but the Lord told me that one thing program that was really, said you were, and the other you were, and, that we have to prove that you have a good job, that, et cetera.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you. Hey, would you?
Yeah, I was told that my son, when he turned 16, we asked him, what do you want to do? And he said he wanted us to tell him the movie. That shows that he evolved in his school. Go back to the third grade or so. School was what are you thankful for? And he was kind of thankful for my labor.
Right. Right, yes, perfectly appropriate for me. Absolutely. All right, and, you know, so,
This is not the guy's hand or the phone. This is something creative to do.
and, you know, so think about in 8 years, and then 8 years later, somebody was raising it right. Right? All right. Yeah, hey, Elizabeth.
I just want to say I'm thankful for humor, and I'm thankful for my mom and my brother taught me how to have a sense of humor. I don't really think I could tell a joke until I was about 30. I think I'm too self-conscious. And I think that children are inherently funny, and I think the other kids were kind of mean or bullied at me a little bit. But then when I got a little more confidence as an adult, I kind of figured that out. And as a coping mechanism, it helps me. I always say no matter how dark things are, if I can make a joke, I'm okay. And my uncle Ralph, too, is like that. He's funny, he's a big guy. And last night, Benjamin was really anxious. He was getting anxious when he was tired, and we stayed out past his bedtime. And, you know, we were driving home, and he's like, it's 9:03, I need to go to bed. He's so upset, and he's watching the clock, and every time, and I just got this idea. And he's like, it's 9:04, and you guys remember the old SNL, like Mr. Bill? So he's like, it's 9:04, and I just went, oh, no! And he laughed. He was hysterical. And then totally, the anxiety disappeared. He was cracking up. He's like, Mom, would you do it again at 9:05? I'm like, okay. But at 9:06, you have to do your Mr. Bill. And then he totally, like, was happy with the rest of the ride home. And I'm thankful that I learned to have a better sense of humor and to use that when you need to, like,
That's good. So halfway through what you were saying,
yeah.
I was going to ask you to tell us a joke. You know, but you just did. Yeah, you just told us a really good one. Thank you for that. All right, so now, here's something interesting. I was only going to spend half the time talking about gratitude, but yeah, so we got the, you know, it's about that time now. So I'm going to leave the other part of this, and I'll tell you what my original title for this sermon was now, okay? And it was Gratitude, Forgiveness, and Hedonism. Because forgiveness is another thing that just really makes you feel good. All right? And I guess, you know, some other time you'll ask me to talk again, I'll talk about forgiveness. And then that's one less song that I'm going to sing. Because I was going to sing 2 songs about gratitude and one about forgiveness. And now I'm just going to sing the gratitude songs, which most of you have heard before, but, you know, so what? It's me. You asked me to be here. And you can't ask me to not sing like me, right? All right, so let's do this one first. The planet known as Jupiter is somewhere out in space. Another one called Saturn's in a nearby cosmic place. And if they care to do the math, you could use this to be thankful and be glad. And when a bad day happens, see it really ain't so bad. A video of them there. I've got 10 million mothers. They take good care of me. Each one's played a part in shaping who I've come to be. I have 10 million sources of learning and love and food, and every one of them deserves my gratitude. Someone grew the grain that landed in my breakfast bowl. Someone milled and someone toasted. Someone carved a little hole. Someone loaded up the truck. Someone drove the load. And long ago, a lot of people built the road. I have 10 billion mothers that take good care of me. Each one's playing a part in shaping who I've come to be. I have 10 million sources of learning and love and food, and every one of them deserves my gratitude. For the water in my faucet, many labored hard and long to build this grand piano. It takes at least 500 strong. And there's the generosity, and there's the fundamental growth of the mother of the soul we call the earth. I have 10 billion mothers, and they take good care of me. Each one's played a part in shaping who I've come to be. 10 billion sources of learning and love and food, and every one of them has earned my gratitude. Every one of you has earned my gratitude. So, where's the other thing? Here it is. So I'm supposed to say some closing words. We're gonna sing another song. Yeah. Let's sing this little light of mine. Okay? You know the words, right? Okay. Come on. Let's, if you want to stand up, it's a better way to sing. Also, we're a little more connected when we stand up when we sing. Okay? Okay? So yeah, this little light of mine, this little light, you know.
Okay,
Thank you.
so, thank you. Okay, so now I'm gonna say closing words from here before I sing the postlude that I know some people get upset when I don't do. So, it's all right. So, actually, that kind of made my day when somebody said, hey, you didn't know that. So, you've heard this before. Actually, going all the way back to Reverend Hope, who used to say this, that it's from Eckhart Tolle, who said, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that's good. Okay? And now, by now, I've been doing this the same way for like a year now, so if you want to sing the whole thing with me, go ahead. Or if you just want to sing the end. Actually, the first line is a little different. I can't enjoy the shining summer skies when I'm gone. I can't comfort anyone who cries. I can't be singing louder than the lights when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here.
Thank you, Michael, for switching with Emily last minute.
Thank you. All right. So this one will stay safe, right?
I know, this is a mistake I made. It's perfect. I made a mistake. Always let me show the video.
That's good. Yeah, got it. That's done. That's good.
It's already just
Like a one-man show.
I know.
It's very different
We
from
usually
the summer.
have it in the big room here and more people. Where do you live? I live in West Coast. Oh, is that good? Okay. We're small but mighty.
We're mighty.
You know our property, right? You've seen our property.
Yes, and I came to
You stopped by today.
yeah,
That's very nice of you to do that. See what they do. That was very inspirational.
Now, one of our lady had that pumpkin patch.
Woodlawn.